guys, and welcome to a simple example of solving formulas for a variable. The first thing that is really important to remember is what it actually means to solve. We tend to think about solving as meaning getting some sort of answer or getting a number specifically, and we want to start getting away from thinking about that because that's usually not what it actually wants us to do when it says solve. So when we have something that has directions like this, where it says solve the formula c equals 2 pi r, is actually circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius of a circle. It says to solve that for r, solve it for the radius. And what that means is not figure out what number the radius is. The radius could be all sorts of things, right? You can have a circle of any size. So it doesn't matter what size the radius is, there's always going to be the same relationship between the circumference and the radius, right? There'll be different numbers, but it's going to be the same relationship. And that's what the formula gives us, is that relationship. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this formula. We are going to solve it for r right here, all right? So we want to get this r by itself. That means everything else needs to be on the other side. And remember, when we talk about sides of an equation, what separates the two sides of an equation is this equal sign right here. And you can even go ahead and draw that line down to show you really clearly what you're talking about when you have two sides of the equation. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what we have here. We've got the r. We know that that's what we want to get by itself. So we look at what's on the same side. We've got a 2 and we've got a pi. All of this is multiplied. This whole thing is multiplied. And remember, pi is a number. It's about 3.14, right? So we can even think about if we multiplied 2 times pi, then that's going to give us about 6.28. That's just one number. And the way that we get rid of multiplication is by dividing. Just like we would in any kind of solving an equation, we're going to divide both sides by what we want to get rid of. We're trying to get rid of the 2 pi, so we divide both sides by 2 pi. Okay? We're just going to start out by just literally dividing both sides by 2 pi. Okay? Now over here, 2's cancel, pi's cancel, and we're left with just our r on this side, which is great because remember we wanted to get it by itself. Now let's look at what's going on over here. We can't change this, so it's just a number. All right? It has to stay with these variables. There's nothing that we can cancel, so don't try to make it complicated. It's really as easy as it seems. Just literally bring it down exactly as it is. So we get that c over 2 pi equals r, and that right there is your final answer. There's nothing more that you have to do with this. Now you might also be asked then to figure out, for example, what the radius is when the circumference equals a certain number. We're not going to look at what that would turn into for this particular problem, but that is something that you might see on another problem, so it's a good thing to kind of keep in mind.